Okay. We are now ready for section 1.5. Now, this is adding and subtracting real numbers, and this is more about the area of integers. Which means we're going to have numbers that have the same sign and different signs, but we're going to add and subtract them. And we also have some very nice story problems that we're going to be working with. And then now, order of operations. This is where you're going to have to be careful, okay? Because please excuse my dear Aunt Sally has little sign issues you have to take care of as you work through, and we'll talk about those. And then you're going to get an introduction to translating. Now, I have a specific worksheet that I have in this PowerPoint. If you wish to print it out, please print it out. You'll find that it's very useful as we move through this course. Also, it's very useful for future courses. And it is going to help you translate English words to math symbols. So let's get started. Okay, adding and subtracting real numbers or integers can be done on a number line. And there are a couple of problems we're going to do where you're going to have to show graphing on a number line. Now, when you go right, you have a positive number. When you go left, you have a negative number. If you go up, it's positive. Down is negative. And that's if you're walking up and down the stairs. And then if you deposit money, it's positive. When you withdraw money, it's negative. Now, some people like to use these situations to help them understand, rather than use a number line, to determine the answer. But don't forget, we've talked about the opposite of. That's going to come into play here. And also, you're going to find that a positive number can be written either with or without a positive sign, while a negative sign must have a negative, must have that little sign. Now, we're going to look at two slides where I did do the usage of a number line. Now, this is saying -2 plus -3. Now, I want you to know it's like a combination lock. When you have or go to your gym locker or any locker you have, you start and turn your combination to 0. Now, this sign says go left. That's what that arrow means. And this sign means continue on in this direction, which is a -3. X marks the spot. Where did we end? Two negatives means I'm going left, left. Or think about you withdraw $2 from your ATM and then you withdraw $3. How much have you withdrawn? A -5. Now, here's one. We have a -5. Okay, we start with 0. We are going all the way to this line. That's -5. But the second number goes right to. I end up at -3. This is translated left 5, right 2. That's what you got to think. Left 5, right 2. And where do I end? -3. Now, here's an example. Okay, this is going to start with 0. Now, this means right 4, which means from this spot, I am going 1, 2, 3, 4. I've stopped right there. But then this number means continue right 3 more. 1, 2, 3. This is where I stopped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My answer is a +7. But notice, do I write that little plus in front of the 7? No, because any number without a sign is positive. Okay? Now, here we go again. This is saying left 2, continue on, left 9. Okay, here's my 0. Okay. I'm starting right here. Left 2, 1, 2. I'm stopping right there. But from this point, I'm going left 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Marks the spot. -6, -7, -8, -10, -11 is where I stopped. Two negatives mean my answer is negative. I'm going in the same direction. Well, here, okay, I always start at 0. Now, this is telling me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means I'm stopping right here. I went left 7. But what is the second number telling me? Right 8. From this side, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a +1. I'm going more to the right than I am to the left. I passed 0, so it's got to be a positive number. Okay. And then my last one. I happen to have -5. And remember, this is my 0. from here. This means left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is -5. But this is saying right 3. From this place, I go 1, 2, 3. It's still to the left of 0. Where did I stop? -2. Okay. Now, if you look at these slides, okay, both are going right. My answer is positive. Both are going left. My answer is negative. One is left, one is right. But the bigger number is right, which means I have a positive answer. But this one, I'm going left and right, but the left is bigger than the right. So therefore, my answer is negative. Negative. Now, this may not make sense, but it should. Two numbers with the same sign, that means they're both negative or they're both positive, will have an answer of the common sign, and you are adding them. Now, or subtract is kind of got a little glitch because you need to know that this is what in algebra subtraction looks like. It is saying A minus B. But what it really means is A plus a negative B. A is positive. So technically, when we use signs, we're really only looking at add. One rule. But the signs are telling us what to do. Now, I have made this little table, and you might find it very helpful. When you add, if you have a positive number, let's just say positive 5, and you have a positive 3, your answer will be a positive 8. But then look right here. If I have a negative 5 and a negative 3, this will give me a negative 8. Now, this is where the fun comes in. It depends on the larger number. And I'm going to give you an example. If we take a positive 5 and a negative 3, this number's bigger. This will give us, in this case, a positive 2. Okay? But if I have, and here's the reason why it says depend. If I have a negative 5 and a positive 3. Now, that's why it says depend. Larger number. This is going to give us a negative 2. This has two possibilities. The same thing happens here. If we take a negative 5 and a positive 3. Notice, that gives me the negative 2. Just what I did here. But if I have a positive 5 minus 3, and remember, this is 5 plus a negative 3, this is going to give me a positive 2. When you add, and let me give it to you more clear. Example 1, positive 5 plus positive 3 is a positive 8. That's what it's saying. Positive plus a positive is a positive. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If I have a positive 5 plus a negative 3, I'm going to get a positive 2. But if I have a negative 5 plus a positive 3, this is going to give me a negative 2. That's why the word depends on the larger number. Here, 5 is bigger. Here, 5 is bigger. And notice what sign 5 has. That's determining the sign. Now, if I have a negative 5 plus a negative 3, and this could also be written just like this, my answer is negative 8. But again, this depends. If I have a negative 5 plus 3, this is negative 2. If I have a positive minus 3, or this means a positive 5 plus negative 3, notice this is a positive 2. The answer depends on the larger number. This one's negative. This one is positive. Okay. Now, okay. Now, negative, negative. This sign and this sign are the same. So think about this as left 3 plus left 8, which is left 11, and left is negative. It's the same sign that both of them have. It's a common sign. Same thing here. Negative and negative is going to give me a negative 131. Now this is where it gets interesting. Common denominator. You're adding. Now, this negative has got to have a 4. That 2 times 2 makes this a 2 plus a negative 3/4. Negative, negative equals negative 5/4. Now, this is your answer. Do not make it a mixed number. Okay. Now, we have decimals. Oh, this should be fun. Negative 0.2 plus a negative. Now, remember, you've got to line up the decimals. Line them up, which means left is negative 0.76, because there's a little zero there. Remember those repeating patterns? Real numbers, behind that 2 is a 0. This is my answer. Okay. Now, let's get a little more interesting. Okay. This is negative 43, positive 27. This number is bigger, so my answer's got to be negative. But these instructions mean subtract, because I'm going in opposite directions. This will give me negative 16. Now, which one's bigger? This number is bigger, which means that my answer is going to be positive. But I'm still subtracting opposite signs. That means I will have a positive 2.7. Okay. Common denominator. Now, hopefully you know that my common denominator will be 18. That 9 multiplies by 2, which means that 4 is multiplying by 2. This 3 is multiplying by 6, which means 5 is multiplying by 3. Okay, which is the bigger fraction? This one in the parentheses. So my answer is going to be negative, but the instructions, it says add, and the reason it says add is because I got that plus sign. I'm really subtracting, which is going to give me a negative 7/18. And remember, if the fraction can be reduced, you've got to reduce it. And notice, it says add, but it only is saying add because I have plus signs. But because I have different signs, I'm subtracting. Now my last one, okay, negative, positive. My answer is 0. And this is your additive inverse property. I'm subtracting. It says add because of that plus in the middle, but my signs are different. One is positive, one is negative. Okay? Now, this is where the fun comes in. This is where you have to apply the rule that we learned in the last section. Remember, negative, negative? Well, what's happening here is this negative sign is really a positive plus a negative number. It's a positive. You're adding a negative number. That's why when we talk about the rules of signs for addition, subtraction is understood because the signs are telling us. Now, a positive. Now, remember, you're subtracting, which means you're taking the negative of a positive number. This is taking the negative of the negative. This is the indication I'm subtracting. And notice, depends on the larger number. And a negative times, now remember, this is a negative positive number. You're going to get a negative answer. Negative, negative, remember, this negative is going to become a positive. Subtract is understood because these signs are going to play a part. Now, let me show you what I mean. You have a -5 and you are going to add a, let's see here, and let me go back here. You have this sign with 3. Well, you have to remember that this means -5 plus a -3 means -8. Signs are the same. And notice I'm giving you some examples. I'm adding a negative number. Then I have a positive sign of 5, and I'm subtracting a -3. Well, remember, this is your additive inverse. This becomes a 5 plus 3, or 8. Or here, I should probably make this a little clearer. There you go. Now, I have a -5 minus a positive 8. What does this mean? -5 minus 8, or -13. This is take the opposite of what's in the parentheses. And if I have a -5 minus a -8. Okay. Notice these two signs. What do they mean? -5 plus 8, or a +3. Notice these are different answers. They're not the same. Okay. Well, this is where Alex comes in. This is what they want you to think. 7 plus a negative 17 would give you a negative 10. Now, some people have asked, do I have to write this line when I can go right to negative 10? No. But that yellow, the black that I wrote initially, is what it means. Okay. This is saying negative 5 plus a negative 20. Negative 25. Notice how we are dealing with the signs. It says subtract, but notice, technically, we're adding because we only have one rule of signs when we talk about add and subtract. Same thing happens here. Okay, now this is where we got to be careful. Okay. This is saying negative 5 plus a negative 20. This is going to give me negative 25. But this is where you have to be careful, right here. See that orange? This is 26 plus 31. And remember I told you that some of you like to put those two vertical blue lines in front of 31 when you have two negatives together? If you want to do that, be my guest, because the answer here is 57. And notice it says subtract. But that rule in algebra supersedes. It's got to be done first. Now, story problems. Okay. You gotta understand what this problem is saying. And with negative numbers, it's very important. The lowest temperature ever recorded in Chicago, Illinois, was a negative 27. The highest temperature in Chicago was 105. Now, this is the part that people don't understand. What is the difference between the two temperatures? Okay, I'm going to give you a picture to try and help you. Okay, here's a thermometer. Down here is negative 27. Okay, this is 0. Way up here is positive 5. They are asking you for the difference. That means between these two numbers, I want the difference. Well, difference means 105 minus, difference is negative, negative 27. Difference means subtract. And it's always, when you subtract, big minus small. What number's bigger? 105, that's hot, that's a positive number. What's the lowest or smallest number? The negative. And what does this mean? 105 plus 27. which means the difference is 132 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the difference between this point and this point. How many little numbers do I have? I have 132. Okay. Okay. Now, order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Remember, add or subtract is the last steps I take. Okay. Parentheses is first. Right here. A positive 4 and a negative 12 is a negative 8. Plus positive 5, negative 2 is a positive 3. This is my parentheses. Now, this plus is going to take us all the way down to the add or subtract. I have no exponents or multiply or divide. Negative, that means left 8, right 3, which is a negative 5. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. Parentheses. This first, negative 21 minus a positive 13 or positive 11. Remember what this means to this. This is saying negative 21. Take the opposite of what's in the parentheses. Okay. This means take the opposite of a positive 11. That's what it means. Take the opposite of. That's what this sign means in front of the parentheses. And since they're both negative, I am adding, because I'm going left 21, left 11. Okay, here we go again. 1.2 plus 3.4. 4.6. Take the opposite of a negative 3.4. That's what it means. Okay. Parentheses. We're doing this first. 8 minus negative 5. Negative 3 and negative 2. This is really negative 3 plus a -2. That's why we get the -5. Take the opposite of -5 because I have these two symbols. This is really 8 plus 5, or 13. Now, I know you're going to like this one. Okay. Now, here. Need common denominators because I'm adding or subtracting. There's no parentheses, there's no exponents. So this is going to become a -2/4. That's 1/2 is. Minus 1/4 plus 3/4. I have no, please excuse dear Aunt Sally steps, which means these two go together. This will give me a -3/4 plus 3/4, which is equal to 0. I subtract first, but even though it's subtract, I'm adding two negative numbers, and that's why the instructions say simplify. You've got to know the rules of which to add and subtract positive and negative numbers. Now, this one gets to be a little interesting because I have absolute value bars. Okay. Absolute value must be done first. Okay. Well, right here. I'm doing what's inside here, but I'm going to put them back, that answer, inside a bar. A -11 and a +46 is going to give me a +35. Minus 2. Okay, gotta do what's in here, which is going to give me a -3. Now, this is where it gets fun. This 2 is negative, but this is still absolute value. This is going to mean a +35 and that's a bar. But here we go. -2, but the absolute value becomes an absolute, a +3. Absolute value is done first. Now, what's the absolute value of 35? A +35. Now, I'm not sure why they put this in here, but this means multiply. This sign is staying. 2 times 3 is a positive 6. Negative times positive means that I have 35 minus 6, or a positive 29. That's okay. Now, this particular sheet is needed to translate, and our next 4 slides after this are all translating. This particular sheet you do want to save and keep. Now, a couple of things I've got to let you know about this sheet. See the little dots down here? This has got a double asterisk, and I'm going to highlight these. These 3 yellow highlighted phrases are written back to back, okay, but we write them right to left. The asterisks after them, mathematics is a universal language. Our language is worldwide. Because it's universal, we have incorporated some mathematical concepts from the Orient or the Asian world. Because we've done that, English is written left to right, but those stars, the double asterisks, are written right to left. Okay? And technically, we're writing them back to back, but that's also some little concept where we have 2 of these phrases back to back. Now, I don't think in the next couple of slides we're going to use bullet 2 as much, but it's on this particular translating phrase. And all of these words happen to mean different symbols. Now, some of these we're going to add to it, but this is a basic start. Now, let me show you what I mean. Okay, look at this phrase, more than. If we go back to that translating page, notice that more than is in the add place. So that means where this word more than, I'm going to put plus. But because this had the double asterisk, this 18 is written behind the 6. In English, we read it 18 more than 6. Well, when we write it from right to left. 18 goes behind the plus symbol. 6 goes in front. Now, when you simplify, hopefully you know that you get the answer of 18. Okay, the sum of, and here's the word and. Where that and is the plus sign, but I write the numbers just as they appear. The -1 is before the and, the 28 is after the and. Now remember, left 1, right 28 gives me a positive 27. Okay, here we go again. Less than. We'll go back to my translating sheet. Notice right here, less than. It's got the double asterisk, which means I'm subtracting. But this is where you got to be careful. This 5 is going behind the negative sign. 81 goes here. Now remember, I'm subtracting. This gives me a positive 76. Okay. Decreased by. Well, this means negative. But if you look at the sheet, notice, see decreased by? There is no asterisks next to it. So that means in front of there, I'm going to write negative 14 minus, now this is a positive 12 or negative 14. Now, take the opposite of a positive 12, which is a negative 12, which gives me a negative 26. Okay. Increased by is plus. But if we go back to my chart, increased by does not have any little asterisks after it. So that means 3 increased by a positive 32. Answer is 35. Now, this one's going to be interesting because this one, I might have not told the truth, but this one has the second bullet. We have 2 mathematical phrases. And let me show you what I mean. Here's the more than. But then here is the sum of and. Okay. How do we translate this? Well, the more than is going to give me a plus. This 21 has got to come back here. But sum, because it has the word the in the middle, -8 and -7. This plus is the more than. Now, this word the represents the parentheses. It's telling me I've got to keep the 2 numbers after the word the and the mathematical operation of sum together, which means -8 plus. Now, sometimes they do a -7, or they've written it like this. I've got grouping symbols. This means group. So this bracket is -15 plus 21. I'll make my 21 a little better here. This is going to give me a positive 6. The is the math symbol for parentheses or group. Now, this ends section 1.5. So I've done several videos this morning for you. I don't know if I'll get to the last one, but hopefully the first week, our first official week, all of the videos are available, and they're available early. So if you do have questions, don't forget to ask. And this ends our session. Okay? I'm saying bye-bye.